Welcome back to Mike's Bikes. I'm Mike, obviously, and today we're going to have a look at the Tiger 800 XCA. Now, this is my personal bike. This is the bike I've been riding. I got it new in 2016. So the question being, why am I reviewing an old bike? Because chances are you're not going to go to a showroom looking at one of these. And the reason being, this is the bike that I ride every day. I do long distance on it. I've been around Europe on it. I take it off-road. I do my commuting on it quite often. And so it's kind of my test bed, you know. Everything else I balance up is compared to this, like in my head at least. So I just want to give you an idea of what I think is good and bad about this bike. So we're going to break it down into a few little videos. The first one today, I'm going to take you around Colchester and we're going to have a look at what it's like riding around town. It's coming up to rush hour now, so it's going to be getting pretty busy. Other videos, we're going to have a look at what it's like on the highway for doing distances and things like that. And also I've put some green laning videos up, but we'll have a bit more of a chat at some point about what it's like off-road and what the weight's like and the power's like to take off-road. Right, you are with Mike and we are on a bike, so you're at the right channel, and we are just coming into Colchester. There's already a van on the inside of me that's itching to beat me off the line, but he can't beat the Triumph. Oh, there's more lights, so he probably can. Coming to rush hour, just going to have a ride around town on this, the Tiger 800 XCA, and give you an idea of what it's like riding in traffic, because, you know, we live in England, and especially if you're in a city or the southeast like I am, and then you're going to spend a lot of your time in traffic. I gotta say, I love it actually. I quite often go down to London and just have a ride around, because while I still can before they ban bikes going in, because God knows why. But I'd actually really enjoy riding in traffic. I did a training day with, there's a company called Total Advance, a really good advanced training company based in East Anglia, and they did a few special days with a guy called Nick, who's a ex-police, you know, protection escort rider, and he took us around London and sort of talks about filtering, how to read the traffic, how to get around stuff, and it's just really good fun. It's really kind of, if you get over the frustration side of getting stuck in traffic, it's a really fun, engaging way of improving your riding, because you're always looking for little gaps and things like that, trying to read the lights, trying to time things so you can beat the traffic. Right, you know what I've done there, just a quick look around the outside and you've gone past 20 cars and get this one off the lights. And a lot of people argue, is it worth racing around and overtaking all the time, because you're only making like a car or two's worth of progress. But one of the things he said on that course that really stuck with me, he goes, you know, you might only overtake a car here or there, but if you get past one car and get through a set of lights that you would have been stopped at, that can save you a minute or two. And over like a whole journey through a city, you can make up a pretty good time just by looking for little opportunities here and there. And it's not about being a dickhead and bullying other drivers off the road and that sort of thing. Make progress without upsetting everyone. Enough about certain motorbike riders. I was going to go on to another little rant then, which was, I'll demonstrate with this lovely Saab in front of us. When you sit right on people's back corner like that, it's so frustrating as a car driver. You can see it immediately. He's put his brake lights on because he's watching me in the mirror going, what's that guy up to? Can't get anywhere, just get off his bumper, give him a bit of space. So yeah, we're going to have a chat about the Tiger XCA 800. And for a big adventure bike, I'll tell you what, it's really good. It's quite nice for sort of, the weight's fairly low in it. You can ride it really slowly without getting too tangled up in yourself and that sort of thing. One thing I do notice on this, it's quite a heavy clutch, and that's exacerbated on this one, because I don't know if you can see it, but I've got the V-Trek shorty levers on there, which I put on there because I would drop it occasionally and I snapped off a few of the full length levers, so I put the shorties on there, and it means you can only get 2 fingers onto your clutch, and it does, it's a bit of a heavy clutch, as I say, so if you're really stop go, it gets pretty knackering on your fingers. Your ligaments start pulling a bit. I've ridden worse bikes for it, but I've also ridden a lot better bikes for it. I'll tell you the best I've been out on. So my friend's got a CB500X Honda, and the clutch on that, it's one of, I think Honda have got some term for that clutch technology, but it's so light, it's unbelievable. You can just one finger pull that clutch like all day and all night. There's just nothing to it, and it works beautifully. But yeah, Triumph haven't caught up with that yet. They've still got a cable and a bloody great spring. Something that does get commented a lot when you're riding around town on this, because I usually have 2 big panniers on. I haven't got them on today, but generally I've got whacking great panniers on at the back of it. It's in the big metal givey box ones, and the right one sticks out a lot further than the left one because the exhaust's on the right hand side. And you look at it and just sort of think, how on earth do you filter with that? It's like, it must be an absolute nightmare, it's just be stuck all the time. But in reality, I think I've measured it and it's like an inch and a bit further out than the end of the handlebar. How often are you going through gaps in traffic between mirrors that are literally an inch? I mean, that's pretty mental, isn't it? So, if you're going through traffic that's, you know, a foot away either side, which is a bit more realistic, you can go through it with your panniers on. It doesn't actually make that much difference. It kind of looks impressive, if you will, because you're filtering through this great tank of a bike, but it's actually on your handlebar width. You don't need to think about it that much. Shoulder checks. Always your shoulder checks when you're changing lane. Come on, you was taught this in your lesson. Motorbike riders that drive cars quite often do shoulder checks when they're driving. Wish they'd teach it into car driving a bit more. Maybe they do now, it's been a long while since I did my test. It's all sounding a little bit fruity there. This little legend out on his lineup. Give him a nod. Oh, he didn't just blank me, he side-eyed me and then blanked me. I called him a legend as well. I take it back. Going to throw in a little bit of advertising where we're around this way. We're in Colchester on North Station Road, down at the bottom of the hill. Up there is the Victoria Inn, which is my friend's pub, and it is bloody lovely. If you want to come and get a properly good pint of beer and ale, that's the place to go to. They are, I was going to say bikers, I think reluctantly ex-bikers nowadays, but yeah, you know, they love their bikes, they'll chat to you about it for hours. If you're in Colchester, pop in for a beer at the Victoria Inn, North Station Road. It's a really, really nice pub for proper beer. You're not going to get your Fosters or Carlsbergs or anything there, but it's like multi-camera award-winning pub. That's the bike parking in town, room for about 2 bikes, and is always full up with delivery drivers nowadays. Used to be really handy that, you could just park in the middle of the high street, but it's all Uber riders nowadays. I mean, I'm not giving a great Tiger review, I'm just riding around town, talking about what it's like riding around towns. But yeah, the bike does great. It's not really anything I would want it to do more in town, other than have a slightly lighter clutch. It's easy to ride, easy to balance. It's tall, I'll give it that. I'm 6'3" and quite long legged, so it's not too much of a problem for me. But I think a lot of people would have issue getting their feet on the floor quickly and paddling it around and stuff like that. You can adjust the seat height on it. And that's something of interest actually. You can adjust the front and the back seat height on this. Not the front and back seat, but the height of the seat at the front and the back. I experimented a little bit, and I've got mine on the low at the front where the tank is, and high at the back, just in front of the pillion seat. And it sits really nicely actually, because it sits you forward into the tank, because it keeps you locked in a bit better than a flat seat does. I don't like the seat when it's on full low. It's just, for me, it feels I'm too sat in the bike. I like sitting on top of it. I've mentioned this in the motorway and dual carriageway review I gave of this bike, but loud pipes are bloody good in traffic as well. It's pretty much a straight through system on this, and what I don't do, and there's something to take from this, is don't drag it up and down your local bloody village at 1 o'clock in the morning pissing everyone off and sit outside your house revving it for 3 hours. No one's going to be happy. If you just start it, get on it and ride out, no one's really going to notice a loud exhaust that much. But then when you're riding through traffic, it doesn't have to clear the cars out the way. So much better than anything else I've found for opening up gaps in cars. As much as people argue against it, personal experience, the loud exhaust is way more effective than bright lights or flashing lights or waving your arms or getting off and shouting at people and kicking their mirrors off and all the other things that bikers swear by. Got an ambulance coming up behind us, but he's so stuck in traffic I might as well just keep going, really. Oh, this car spotted me. There you go, loud exhaust, perfect. Give him a little wave. Cheers, mate. Now the ambulance is coming, we'll let him go past on that bit. Yeah, it's actually surprisingly easy for a tall big bike like this to sort of balance at low speeds. Yeah, it's actually, the steering feels quite light on it, considering it's got, you know, big 21-inch front wheel on this. You can really sort of just weave it in and out of traffic, and you know, so it's easy to balance. It's a bit of a handful if you do need to put your feet down and shuffle it. It's quite a big bike for that, again, because it's tall. And there's a really good selection of bike shops in Colchester, actually, motorbike shops. I mean, I'll list a few, but I'm going to have forgotten loads. You've got Hive Motorcycles. I think they're a mixed dealer, like mostly used and things like that. On the other side of town, you've got a Yamaha, I think a Yamaha off-road dealer. Yeah, specialises in like the motocross bikes and that sort of thing. On this side of town again, you've got TK Cope, that specialise in Yamaha road bikes and used bikes. And then you've got Colchester Kawasaki, who, funnily enough, I was talking to earlier, and we're going to try and do a bit of video work with. And they've got a really nice big place up here. They do a lot of used bikes. They've got a huge range of new. They've got the whole Royal Enfield range in as well. They've kind of gone down that sort of Shoreditch bike sheddy type route. That, you know, they've got a barbers in there. They've got like a little mini cinema set up showing bike films. They've got some really cool stuff. Right, let's go all the way around it for giggles, shall we? This is the old roundabout of roundabouts. And it is one big roundabout made of 5 little roundabouts, I think. I'm going to go down there eventually, but we'll just take a bit of a tour around it. I mean, once you get your head around it, it's actually quite a clever little design. I like it. Most people hate it. I think generally because they get dragged onto it on their driving tests and then never ever want to go near it again. I've gone so far off the beaten track here of giving a review of the Tiger 800, haven't I? Just gambling away about traffic. Anyway, great bike, buy one. Honestly, I really recommend it. But that's because I've had it for 6 years now, whatever it is. Yeah, it is 6 years, Christ. Wowzers. It's the longest I've ever owned a bike, and only new bike I've ever owned. And I could have traded it in at 3 years, and I couldn't see the point of trading it in for the slightly uprated 800, because all they'd done on that really is change the clocks and a few bits. I was very tempted by the 900. Still am a little bit, but yeah, the 900 Tiger does look a really nice bike, but I just don't think it will do that much more than this will for an extra 10 grand on top of whatever this is worth nowadays. Because I'm on 30,000 miles now. And it's weird, because I like changing bikes, but I genuinely can't think of anything. You know, there's things that will do things a bit better and stuff, that will do everything as well as this does for the extra money that would be involved. I mean, if I did no off-roading, multi-strada, 100% would go for the multi-strada 800, I think. And I think that's a great bike. Really quick, you know, really good looking. Ducati sounds great, obviously, and all that sort of thing. Probably won't start most mornings, but you know, I'm used to that with old Italian bikes. But I wouldn't take it green laning like I do this. And then you think, alright, so Africa Twin, just again, I'm sure it's great. Absolutely love one. And yeah, I love a twin, but if I hadn't bought this, if I wasn't on this, I'd probably get an Africa Twin. And I say that, I haven't ridden one, so I'm basing it purely on sitting on them, hearsay, what I think of the looks and the spec and things like that. But I'm not going to trade this in and lose a load of money for an Africa Twin, because I just don't think it would be that much better or different at anything. This just kind of ticks all the boxes, this bike. It does everything, I was going to say adequately, but that's unfair. It does everything well, but not outstandingly. It's not as quick as it could be. It's not as comfortable as it could be. It's not as good as off-road as a lot of bikes, but it does all of them really well. Is it going to be a lifer? I suppose that's a question. I just don't know the answer to that. Probably not, because I'm not that good at maintenance, so I'll probably kill it. And I do a fair amount of miles, so yeah, say it's on 30,000 at the moment. Even the Pan-European ST1100, which is meant to be just an unbreakable engine that will do 100,000 miles. The one I had, the head gasket went on it at 30,000 and wrote it off. I mean, it was pretty old when I got it, but it was low mileage. Seemed to confuse a few people. I spoke to a couple of Honda engineers about that, and they were just like, what? They don't break down. What have you done to it? So I haven't done anything. It's got all the fluids, it's got everything. The gasket's gone. That's the extent of my mechanics here, by the way. It's got the fluids in it. What more do you want me to do? Ain't cleaning the bugger. So I don't know what to say about it for town riding. It does it. It's good at it. There's probably, you know, if you're only riding in town, get a scooter. It'd be way better. But it'd be rubbish for everything else. But as a big adventure bike, you'll be surprised how capable this is for just potting around in traffic, even with weight on it and panniers. And I've got no issue riding through sort of central London, twos up on this with a bit of weight on it and things like that. Yeah, you're going to be paddling. I'll tell you what, actually, I took it through Paris once, through central Paris, with 2 big panniers on it and someone on the back, and that was pretty hard work. So yeah, if you're going to be commuting in Paris every day, don't buy a Tiger 800 with panniers on it and sit a pillion on the back, because it will be miserable and it will get really hot. Oh, that's something that's worth mentioning on this bike actually. The fan on this bike blows all of the engine heat out there, straight out, particularly on your right leg, a little bit both sides, but mostly on your right leg, which if you're sitting in traffic in leathers or textiles in the summer and it's 30 odd degrees out or 25 degrees or whatever we get over here, you will be sweating. So I think we'll call that a day for the video. Have a look out. I say I've done some more Tiger reviews of, you know, dual carriageway commuting, and also of riding it off-road. And as I say, this is my bike. This is the one I ride all the time. I'm fortunate to get to ride other bikes with friends and family and things like that, and we're trying to sort it out for the channel to be even more fortunate if some of the companies will help us out and let us ride some of their new bikes. Tiger 800 XCA, great bike, and you can ride it through town. Like and subscribe! If I make it through this anyway. Go on the Jeep! Go on the Jeep! You've already gone for it, you might as well finish it off.